We'll start. It's 3 minutes past. My name is Selma Predanovic, and I will be hosting this session today. I'm absolutely delighted and excited to do so, especially with the title In Moms We Trust. I'm a mom of two kids, no longer kids, two young adults. My daughter is now 23, and my son is 20 years old. It's been such a journey being a mom. This is absolutely my dream, and I've always wanted to be a mom, and I've always wanted to have a family, and family has been my priority in my life. We'll be talking about the priority triangle and some issues and things that I have developed across the time, but at the same time, I really wanted to work, and I really wanted to make an impact, and not only work, but really have a larger impact in the world. And hello, and it's really important to get these things together. So the important thing, how I would like to start, is really some of the reactions and some of the benefits that women I worked with had from this work. And what I do is, on one hand, I work as a business angel, as an early stage investor. I'm a coach and mentor for startups. I connect startups and money. We have a platform, an accelerator for startups. And in addition to that, I have a program that is developed really for mothers, for moms, entrepreneurs, business owners, in general, who are balancing the business life, the family life, and time for themselves. This is the greatest issue that we all have, is having time for ourselves and putting ourselves into the spot, the main spot, and really understanding the sentence, only a happy mom is a good mom. And that's something we theoretically all know, but do not really implement. So common knowledge is not really common sense, and we will be talking about that today. Women that I work with came out with feedback that their life changed. Some of them became entrepreneurs because of a talk that I did, or because of something that, an interview they read. In the meantime, there's been interviews about my expertise and knowledge in 40 different countries. I've been over 1,000 times on stage, and really living my dream. And as it seems that it's always a bit inspirational, somewhat educational, and certainly personal. And I like it that way. I think I like the human in all of us, and I like to be doing business with people I like. And the more you network and the more you present yourself, also like here, you will have the opportunity to meet other people and really have the choice who do you work with. So, short introduction about myself. I originally come from Sarajevo. I was born in Bosnia, Europe, and I lived in several different countries, which meant that I changed schools every 2 years, and which means that I always had to adapt to a new situation. And then at the moment when I felt that I made it, I had to restart and had this opportunity to really, on one hand, live openness fully, but on the other hand, to never be really fully there, really accepted or part of a society. Since 91, I moved to Vienna, to Austria, and now as an Austrian citizen, I've been living here. Since then, my children were born here, and this is our home now. As I said, I work as an angel investor, or I invest in early stage startups since in the last 15 years, working really closely with startups and developing entrepreneurs and empowering entrepreneurs and creating entrepreneurial ecosystems, and the opportunities for entrepreneurs to develop and to empower them. And also, what is the subject today, to have them dream big. And this is what I love most, is really the importance of dreaming big, big, big. The bigger you dream, the better. Why is that? Well, let's imagine you dream about traveling to the next place, which is 100 kilometers away from you, and dreaming about going to the moon. Even if you don't make any of these two, and you make just 20% of that, that will be moving away from your city 20 kilometers, or maybe moving to the other side of Earth. So So it is really about dreaming big. The bigger the dream, the better you are in terms of even if you realize just a small option of that dream. I would like to discuss a few things which I think is really important, especially for moms. And these are the different myths that exist that diminish really women. One of those myths is the myth of the romantic love. So that's something that tells you that if your partner really loves you, she will know exactly what you want and what you need, and without even you saying anything. I think that is one of the worst things that could happen to us as women, because that is a way to silence us, because it says basically, do not say what you want and what you need. And the problem there is also not only do we use that, does that happen in our relationship, but also it happens in our business life, that we kind of expect our boss or an investor or somebody else to discover us and give us the money, the promotion, or whatever that is what we want to have without us saying that. I would like to tell you just a little example there. Many, many years ago, my now husband and then boyfriend and I were in the car and we started fighting. And I watched all of these movies and I thought, I'll just get out of the car and say, stop there, I'll go out, and that's how he will know what I want to say and what I want from him. The point is that he really did stop, and I got out of the car and he left, and then I was there standing with my old thoughts and wishes, and I couldn't say really, I had no chance anymore to tell him what I really wanted. So I would suggest that in the future, you also use that in your personal life to really rethink this option of not saying, of diminishing your voice and not saying what you want. And this is something that is happening in your personal relationship, it is happening in your business, and very importantly, it is happening with your children. It is when you do not tell your children what you want and what you don't want, what you need, they cannot learn and they will not be able to understand what you want. Let's imagine just one single thing, the situation. I don't know if any of you have teenagers. Teenagers don't speak too much, mostly at home. They do not speak about their emotions and what they want and what they don't want. And that's the typical situation where you're not able to reach out to your children and really have a conversation with them. So the same way you don't know what they want, they do not know what you want if you don't say what are your wishes, what are your dreams, and what you expect from other people to really do or not to do. So that is one of the first myths I want to mention, is the myth of silencing your needs and your choices and your wants. The second myth is the sacrifice of the mom. Didn't we all grow up one way or another that basically being a good mom means sacrificing? And that means sacrificing your wishes, sacrificing the time you spend on yourself, sacrificing your dreams. And it doesn't have to be. It is not true. Now, when I look back, there are many things I would do very differently. And this is exactly the point, is that I am able now to help others, other moms, moms entrepreneurs, moms business owners, moms having a career, on how to balance the business, the family, and the time for themselves. There's a beautiful story there, which is a woman becomes a widow, her husband dies, and she stays with 5 children. And she didn't have a job, and she started going to houses and cleaning houses. One day she gets 2 pieces of bread, and she takes 1 piece of bread and divides it in 5 pieces and gives each of these 5 pieces of 1 piece of bread to each of her children. But then she takes the second slice of bread and eats it alone. And my first reaction to that is always like, how could she? She should be giving that to her children and sharing that with her children. But in fact, this is exactly the point. It is about her taking care of herself, because only if she has enough energy will she be able to go and work and earn more money and enable her children to go to school and finish school. And this is a beautiful story. I really urge all of you to take that piece of bread for yourself and spend time for yourself and tank your energy, like in a tank in a car. You need to, there has to be gasoline in that car to drive. And, if your car has gasoline, then you can drive your kids around the world. But if there are no gasoline left, then you can do nothing. This is really, really important, and I really urge you to do so. We have a comment here I'd like to add to the first myth that in many cultures, women are thought that being silent and not communicating her needs and opinions is being polite. That needs to change. Exactly. Thank you, Anna, for pointing that out. That is exactly the point. If we do not say what we want, nobody will know it. I mean, there are no magicians out there. And as I said, it's important in your personal relationship, in your business relationship, but also in family with your children and friends. And we will go back to that when we talk about the 4 stages of the Live Your Dream Life process and journey that I've developed, where it is in the first place to be able to say what you want, you need to know what you want, which is one point there. So as I said, the first myth is the silencing, and the difference in being polite or not polite. The second thing is about sacrificing, and to sacrifice, it is this whole idea. This is something you can read in all the magazines. This is something that happens all around you, is that constantly you have this idea that, it's almost a synonymous. You say, mother, sacrifice. And that's the way it should be. No, it is society telling us that it has to be sacrifice. And it is about us learning to take care of ourselves, to take care of our needs, to speak up about our needs, but also to understand that sacrifice is then us giving up on ourselves, whereas making a choice is us giving up or making a different plan. That means, for example, at a certain stage in my life, I was supposed to be going on a world tour and go and travel. And to that point in time, my children, I thought that it was important that I stay home and do not spend that much time traveling. And it was my choice. It was not a sacrifice that I did of my career. It was simply the different priority planning and me saying, okay, this is not going to happen this year, but in 2 years' time, I can go and make my world tour. And that's the point. That's the difference. It's a huge difference thinking I sacrifice for my family, or I sit down, decide what I want, voice it out, and say, okay, I won't do it now because it's not my priority. I will do it in 2 years, in 5 years. We have time is on our side. We have Patricia saying, I completely agree, Selma. I do believe that society conditions us women to forget about our bodies, to neglect them. Oh my God, yes, definitely. As a mother, you don't have to be very attractive because you're a mom. Probably married or not married, but definitely you're a mom. So that's a different role. You no longer have to be that sexy thing happening out there on the street. And that is not true. All of this has to do with you and yourself. And so it was, one is voicing your needs. The second one is this idea of sacrifice. And really just look at the media, look at everything that is happening there. We are so proud when we sacrifice. And we were conditioned to do so. And that's not true. Even in terms of the neglecting bodies, as was just mentioned in the comment, I went through a stage when I thought, it really doesn't matter. I have other priorities. My kids are now a priority. So it's not me, it's not my body, and it's not my needs. But that's something that I paid a price today because I didn't do that at the right time. I allowed myself to go through stress. We just had a meditation session, before. Really, really important for you to find ways how to develop habits. But let's go into that. I would like to talk, if you please comment anything I say, or if you have other ideas or questions, I really am excited about having a communication. I would like to talk about something that I call the Live Your Dream Life journey. This is a process that I've developed with many years of personal experience, looking at others, research, and also learning from some of the best personal development coaches and personalities, and also leaders around the world. And I've put that together, and this is a program that you can also book. There's a link in the description below. That's liveyourdreamlife.tv. It's 4 stages. These are 14 videos for 14 days, but it's a 4-stage process. The first stage is discover yourself. The second stage is awaken your magic powers. The third stage is free your mind. And the fourth stage is trust your way. So let me explain a little bit about it and what do I mean by that. The first one is discover yourself. And this is exactly what we have started talking about, is you knowing what do you really want. The point being that we are so under the pressure and the society around us. So it is family, it is the society, all the news and the media, and now the influencers, that give us a certain picture of who we should be and what should we want and what is it what we should desire. In all of that pressure that is happening out there and all that noise, very often we do not have the time anymore. We don't have the energy. We don't have the power to really go back and ask ourselves, what do I really want? And that is crucial. Without knowing what you really want, it is very difficult to be, going on a journey. So it's basically as when you say, you stand at the airport and I'll travel anywhere is already a concept. But you're sitting at home and saying, I would like to travel somewhere, sometime, and you don't know when and how and where. It is going to be difficult to reach of the destinations. Not only it will be difficult to reach the destination, but also you will be happy because you have not really, it was not the goal that you set up and that you have achieved, but it's something that just happens to you. I really like to urge women around the world to plan and to be strategic about our lives. This is something that in most cultures, women were not taught to do, is to plan and to strategically execute their on a life plan and really work on it, because we have this rule, we should get married and have children and work, but no big deal. I want to change the world. I want to make an impact. I really want, I'm passionate about creating the future. I'm passionate about participating in this, and I really want to empower people around me to see that it's possible. All the big things that happened in our society in history were always triggered by one single person, one crazy person having a single idea, and then other people joining in. And any of you today listening to this, you can be that one person, that one crazy person changing the world and changing and creating our future. And I really, really would like to urge you to do that. We have a comment. From my experience, most of us spend our time thinking about implementation, no time for strategy. While men are the strategic because women are implementing all the time. Yes, isn't it the classical behind every successful man there is a successful woman, or there is a woman behind him? Well, yes, we implement all the time, but it is about us being strategic about our life. I really want you to think about, I don't know your age. I just turned 54 yesterday. And on one hand, my life, I've lived a life that if I were to die tomorrow, I would die as a very happy, very successful woman. I've had an amazing life. At the same time, I have dreams for another 30 years, 40 years, I don't, whatever that is. But the point is that I've planned at age 54, I'm planning my life in a way that I believe that I will live for another 30 years. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time to change the world and do many things. So the point is, especially if you're a mother of young kids, you don't have to do everything today. I want you to be strategic about timing and say, okay, this is something I would like to do in 2 years, and this is something I would like to do in 5 years, and this is something I would like to do in 10 years. Why is that important? For example, if I say I want to travel to 100 countries in the world, and I've never traveled, and I decide today I want to do so, well, that's a huge goal, and it's very difficult to deal with it, and it's overwhelming. But if I say, okay, that might mean that in the next 10 years, I will travel 10 countries per year, or to put it, if I say on the next 20 years, that's, how many countries do I have to travel and to be there, and how do I divide that? This is really, really important. Is being strategic and planning and doing all the plans that, and being aware that it's possible. It's really very, very important. Strategic implementation, and thinking, knowing what you want, being strategic about it, and knowing that time is on your side. Of course, if something happens and you're gone tomorrow, well, you're gone tomorrow, and none of your plans and executions will be of any relevance anymore. So you might as well. I think that there's this whole pressure of living everything today. I think is just a lot of pressure on all of us, and it does not allow us to really be strategic the way we should be. So this is about knowing what you want and discovering yourself, discovering your needs. And within the program that I have created, there is something that is called Dream Development Guide, and you can go through that. The second part is being really awakening your magic powers. And I do believe that you have magic powers. We do forget so often how magical we are, how our intuition is working perfectly. Just think, if you're a mom and you're with your baby, it's your intuition working. It's not your baby telling you, I need this or I need that. It's you knowing, trying, discovering. And you have the magic power that there's a small little human being that when you touch and when you embrace, they get calm. Isn't that pure magic? I think this is awesome. As mothers, we have gone through things, we have lived things, and we have given birth to a human being. I mean, how more magical can it be? And there, at this point, I would like to tell you, you are a goddess, definitely. This is the whole program that we have created. I always talk to women and moms and everybody in the program that you are a goddess, because you have this beautiful powers of intuition, of caregiving, of knowing and understanding things without really having to express them in a classical way, but also the magical power of really doing something. I don't know if, hopefully not, but if you're a mother and your child was sick and ill, you were a goddess, a lioness, a magical, incredible magic that you created to make sure that your child gets all the care that he or she needs. That's power. That's amazing. And that's something we have to be aware of. And we are not, because our day looks so full with all the things we should do that we never finish our to-do list. And we always feel like losers and underachievers, and we've never done anything. It's not true. When if you would really to write down your day and every single move you make, you would see how many things you do every single day. And I would like you to do so and realize what a goddess you are and how magical you are. Now that you know what you want and that you are aware that you have magical powers, I would like you to, this next stage is about freeing your mind. And this is exactly what we are talking about. This planning and strategic is really developing habits, as the meditation that you had earlier, that will allow you to have time for yourself, to plan, to be strategic, to think about your needs, but also to build in the same way you would put into your calendar your child's doctor's appointment or a school session or whatever is important. You would have it in your calendar. The same way you have to put things in your calendar that are for you, which is whatever exercising, having a glass of wine with a friend of yours every week, whatever that is, or just reading a book or watching a series on Netflix. I don't care, but it's time for yourself. It has to be non-negotiable time for yourself. That is really, really important. And if you create a habit of it, you don't think about it anymore. It's there and it's for you. And this is your relaxed time, your exercise time, your power time, whatever you want to make it. But it's important that you plan it and that you have it and put it in there. It is also, creating a habit of feeling certain feelings. We know that our brain works made, or our mind is triggered by words and pictures that we make. Example, when you watch a movie and it's a really sad movie, you might start crying. Well, come on, I mean, it's just a movie, why are you crying? This is because our brain cannot differentiate the truth and what is happening, what we are seeing. The same way we can act and change our mind and the mindset and the stories we tell ourselves. Like, for example, that we are losers and we haven't reached anything, compared to empowering words and saying how beautiful you are. How about waking up in the morning and just telling yourself, I am beautiful and this is going to be an awesome day. I will achieve everything. This is really important, how you talk to yourself. Would you ever tell the things you tell yourself to a good friend of yours? I mean, come on, I would really like to hear from you. The words you use when you talk to yourself in your head, would you ever tell these words to your best friend? Please give me an answer. I really would like to hear from you. I believe that it's really not something we say, and the words we use for ourselves are not the words we would tell our best friends. So one of the strategies you can use to free your mind and to really know better yourself and be better to yourself is to consider yourself as your best friend. And then you will change totally the language you use. And the fourth part is really trust your way. That means when you know what you want, when you become aware of your magical powers, when you develop certain habits and you decide on the habits and rituals you would like to have, and which can be also with your family. It can be also, for example, integration of roles. That means I, for example, go on a walk with my husband, and this is something this is time with my husband that we have together, but it's also me being in nature, but it's also me having, walking and having some, exercising and having some kind of movement that is happening, and it's integrating these different roles and aspects of our lives that we would like to have. And this is the same as also with your children. As it was mentioned earlier, you can meditate with your children, or you can do exercises with your children. There are beautiful videos with small kids how you do exercises. Or later on, they're going to profit from you doing the yoga together with you, or going for a spa day or whatever that is. They're going to love it. That this is the mom and son, daughter time that you will have that is going to be special. And if you build a ritual to it, this is something that kids definitely do remember. They will not remember every single lunch that you didn't make and the lunch that was not the organic soup, but they will remember that they had a ritual, that you were there, that you had rituals where the time you spent with them was really dedicated time where you were listening and talking with them and not to them. And then trust your way is about really doing a plan, and that means doing a plan for a year, where you put a calendar, the same way you do for your business. I mean, come on. For your business, you definitely have your yearly plan or your 3 years plan or your 5-year plan, and we don't do that for our lives. And we should be doing that. So I urge you to make your yearly plan on a monthly basis, and then take the next month on a weekly basis, and then do it on a daily. I like to plan most of my things on a weekly basis because I like to have a certain flexibility that things happen. I don't feel like, or I have the liberty today that I can do things in my own ways as my kids are grown-ups, and I have a business that I run, so I can decide on certain things. So I like to plan things on a weekly basis. What are the most important things that need to happen that week? Whereas my habits are becoming, or are already so strongly habits that they are non-negotiable. They are there. I don't even have to put them in the calendar. They are part of my life. And that's something that you can constantly develop and work on it. And I'm still learning on this path and journey. And I like to say also that in fact, I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. I think there are so many great opportunities out there for all of us to be doing things, and I really, enjoy the life and the empowerment and the possibilities that we have there to really work together and create some major change or some major impact. So I would like to hear from you if there are, let me see, chat, who is there, and if you have any comments or questions you would like to, what is your experience? I would just give you a few moments for you to write down in the chat, what is your experience? What is your biggest issue? And definitely what I would like to hear is, what is your big dream? While you're writing down, and I hope you are, I will tell you one of my big dreams was to meet the Dalai Lama. So meeting the Dalai, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, is not something that is always easy and, you just go around the corner and meet him. It was quite a challenge to think about it. But then, interestingly enough, there was an event that happened here close to Vienna, and I found out that His Holiness is going to be here for 3 days. It is a small event, just about 120 people, and we spent 3 days close to him. And I really, really wanted to go there. At that point in time, I could not afford the participation fee. It was far too high for me, and I still wanted to go. So I was trying to be resourceful and think of ways how could I do that. And what I did is I contacted the organizers and asked them what they want and what they need. Where is there something I can help them with? And they said that they wanted to have connections. They wanted to sales, basically other people buying the program. So we made a deal that if I help them sell, that I will be able to participate in the program and be part of the program and spend the 3 days with His Holiness. And I really did my share of the things, and they also did their part of the agreement. And I spent 3 days there, and it was the most fascinating experience in my life, or one of the most fascinating experiences in my life. And I loved it really tremendously. And it was just one way of thinking, how do you make things happen? And I would like you to think of that always, no matter how big your dream is, and as it seems absolutely impossible in that moment, there might be other ways that it will show up. At the same time, I've learned lessons from His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, but I like to say that I've learned as much from him as I have from my own children. I've learned so much from my children, and they are such an inspiration for me. And they gave me so much knowledge and new insights into life that I didn't have. So many things that I thought were normal, now suddenly with them, they were no longer normal. They saw them in a different picture, in a different way, and they forced me to think about so many different things in a totally different manner. And they really inspire me at the end of the day to create that impact and to make that impact in the world, as I do want to create a better future for them. And that's something that is absolutely our advantage as mothers, is this closeness that we have with moms and with our children, and learning from them. Anna, since my podcast, Thank You Mama, that's the name of the podcast, is all about our mother's lessons, I'd love to hear what you think are 3 important lessons we should teach our daughters. Our daughters. Okay, wonderful. One is definitely being kinder to yourself. I think we're terribly, terribly perfectionist, terribly high demand, terribly never happy, never enough, and pushing to more. And I think that being just simply kind to ourselves and talk kinder to ourselves and using kinder language and accepting our flaws and being okay when we make mistakes. The same way we are with our children and with other people. We are just this, mean mother to ourselves. And I really would like, my daughter, and this is something we discuss every now and then, is I want her to be kinder to herself. She will make mistakes. There will be things that will happen where she will not be able to act on it, or she will not be able to change it in any way. And she will do her best it will not be enough, and that's okay. As long as she's trying, she's doing her best, that's absolutely okay. And the interesting thing is that when you look in time, and that's maybe the second lesson, is this: it doesn't have to be everything now, and that you have to be strategic and think in time spans. I mean, my daughter is 23 years old. She will probably live till 83, 93, maybe 100. I don't know what the science is going to happen. So she's out there for another 60 years. I mean, how much can you do in 60 years? I really would like her, on the one hand, I want her to have, really a fulfilled and life with a lot of experiences. But I really don't see the point in doing, being under such a pressure the way I was. I remember once when I was a child, as a mother of young kids, I hit the wall in the apartment, in our house. I had a big, blue, purple, red, mark for almost a month because I was running through the house to do as many things as possible while my child was asleep. When I think about that today, I just can't believe that I was so, I could do so stupid things, and I could be so unkind to myself instead of, really giving myself time and being there. So yes, patience. There's time for everything. Absolutely. I mean, patience is not my virtue. I'm very, persistent in that. But it's something that I'm learning that, on one hand, you have to push things to happen now, but it is the strategical thinking allows you to have this, to understand and to know what you can do later and what needs to be done now. And that is, the things. Very often, I still have that, I would wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh, I have to tell that my child, to my daughter, to my son, they need to do this and they need to do that. And then I have to really work on myself and relax. It's okay, I can say that in 3 days from now, or maybe in a month from now, and maybe they will do it on their own, and I don't need to say anything. So it is also this, this relationship. So if I go back to the 3 most important lessons, is like, 1 is to be kinder to herself. 2nd is the strategical time span planning of life and having there. And the 3rd one is joy. I really would like her to enjoy life and we are so trained by society that we should not enjoy, that we should sacrifice, we should work hard, and everything should be so really hard. No. I think, and I believe now, and I know better now compared to 20 years ago, is seeking joy gives you a way to do things that gives joy to everybody else and makes life more relaxed and super enjoyable. If something happens, then you can say, I really enjoyed the years that I had. Okay, we have Patricia here. Actually, I believe that sometimes I've had too much patience. Being more impatient is sometimes good. Yes, that's right. It is the balance between the 2 things, definitely. It has to do with what you expect from yourself and what you expect from others. And for example, we like to push our kids, especially when they come to the age of, like teenager, finishing school or studying or something. We see the world from our perspective and say, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. But, there will be jobs in 5 years that do not exist today, and our kids will be doing different things. When I think of my mom, my mom is 87, and, she looks amazing, and she's totally fit in her head and just powerful in every way. And when I think of her, I'm sure that today, if she was living in a different, if she was to be a young woman today, she would probably be some, digital nomad or some kind of an influencer or something like that. But that was not the career that she had. That was not the timing, and it was different. But she taught me many, many different lessons. Many years ago, she was the one who would go into a foreign country and sit alone in a restaurant bar. Because she didn't know anybody. She just came into this new country and had to do that. Maybe today it is normal, and it is normal for me, while it's still not normal for many women around the world to sit alone in a bar, in a cafe, in a restaurant. My mom did that 40 years ago. And these are, this independence, which was given by small little things, is something that became part of my life. And that's something that I hope I have given to both of my kids. But also, whatever I'm teaching my daughter, no matter what you say, it's about what you do. It's also about what I teach my son, how to be and how to treat women and these relationships. So it is really an important thing to also not just see what we do with our daughters, but also what we do with our sons and what we expect from them. What the so-called caring masculinity is something that is a new way of looking at things or defining and naming things. And it's really something very, very important. I had my birthday yesterday, and I had both of my kids and my husband. We were together, and it was just amazing to see how caring both of my children are. And I love that. I think that's important to care about other people, but also to care about yourself. And the more you care about yourself, you will be able to care about other people. The more you love yourself, you will love others. The more you respect yourself and your work, you will be able to respect the work of others. Very often I've seen that people that are very disrespectful of the work of others are people who do not respect their own work. Not because they are mean, but simply because they learned so. Somebody told them that they are not worth it, and then they think that the effort of other people is also not worth it. And so I would like to go back to the very beginning, where it is about you taking that piece of bread and eating it, because only then will you have enough energy to be there for yourself, for your family, and also for your business, which is something I like discussing and talking about. And that's my main, part of the work is really creating a dream business and defining how do you want to live and what is important to you. And based on that, then create the business how you want it to be. I started my first business in 2005, basically because I couldn't find a job that would correspond to my own needs and what I wanted to have. I wanted to use my brain, but not necessarily spend 16 hours a day traveling around the world for some company that I don't really care about. So I started my own business, consulting business, that was very family friendly. That's the part of entrepreneurship that is really good, is when you are an entrepreneur and you create your own business, you can define the values of your business and you are the boss, you are the one who is creating it, and you can do whatever you want. So if you want to have a family friendly business, you create a family friendly business. And if you want to have a business that is supportive to changing the world and making an impact and creating a better tomorrow, then this is what your business does. And it was very clear from the very beginning that my family is my priority and that my kids are the first to be in my calendar. And it was absolutely normal that my kids would blurb into a meeting asking for something. Everybody around me knew that. And, at first I was not sure how they're going to react, but at the end it turns out that everybody not only accepted the fact that this was possible and that my kids were my priority, but also they respected it and loved it. And this is why we were working together, because these were the values they also had. And the people that did not have those values, we didn't work together. And that's okay. I mean, just think about it. There are 8 billion people in the world. Why do you need to be with those, small little mean people around you? Just choose people that are better to yourself. Were your kids the priority of your partners too? We both, yes, my partner was very supportive. And, well, not supportive, we shared many things. This was the only way we could do that. Because of my work, I needed to travel, so I would spend 1 or 2 days every week somewhere outside the home. And that's the time that my husband spent with the kids. And that also means, spending a night with 2 toddlers vomiting the whole night, and that was him. So that was very, very important. We were really always family first, but of course we had times, and we both had times, both my husband and I, where he had to focus and concentrate on his business, and I had to focus and concentrate on my business. I don't think it's about 50-50 all the time. It is about really knowing what is the priority in a certain moment and allowing, everybody working on to make that happen. And the same way, for example, this was really interesting yesterday because my life has changed with COVID. Usually I would travel a lot for my speaking and for my events, and my world tour was supposed to happen now in 2020, and then suddenly I couldn't travel anymore. And it was so beautiful to see from my family how supportive they were, because they were just saying that I had a hard time during this, lockdowns and inability to travel, because I was missing the part of my life that I love, and they know it and they respect it. And it doesn't mean, I adore my children and my husband, but I need the other side of me, and they know it. And the point is, when you stand for yourself, and when you stand up for what you need, and when you know what you want and you know what you need, interestingly enough, everybody around you starts respecting that and seeing that only then you are really happy. There were times when I was like, oh, I can't go out with a girlfriend of mine because I have to be with my kids. But then I was unhappier, and I was lonely. I didn't have anybody to talk to outside of, the close family. And when I started talking and seeing my girlfriends again, my children saw that I was happier, and they were happy for me. They love me the same way I love my kids and I want them to see happy. The same way my kids love me and want to see me happy. So now I have a group of girlfriends that we travel every year when it's not lockdown. We spend a long weekend together somewhere, and we go and travel, and my children love that. And that is also a beautiful lesson for my daughter, is to see that it's okay, just to take time with your girlfriends and go out. It doesn't have to be, usually you have, like men will go fishing or I don't know, something. But I don't hear very much of a group of girlfriends or women, especially 50 years old and above, traveling around and spending time together. And we've been doing that this for, 10 years now. We always travel together and we spend a long weekend. But that's something that gives me pleasure and energy for, full year, because that's something very special and I really care about. So just remember that the same way you adore doing things for your loved ones, they adore doing things for you. The same way you want them to be happy, they want you to be happy. So it is crucial for you to know what makes you happy. And that we go back to the beginning, where very often we forget what makes us happy. I did have a stage in my life. I did go through depression, and my business was, at the verge of bankruptcy, and illness and loss of loved ones, and all of the things that happen. Just life is there. But still, I had the most amazing life at the end of the day. But it is this not knowing, and having this time that you need to spend to yourself, with yourself, for yourself, and finding this joy that is really, really important. I would like to, we have in about just another 5-6 minutes, as far as I know. I would like to hear if there are any questions from your sides. And I would just to the question also from the priority of the partner. It was not always easy, of course. Of course, I wanted to divorce my partner at some point in time. I think that's we all go through that stage, and especially we've been together. He's my teenage love. We've been together almost 40 years. Of course, you go through stages when you're like, can't stand him anymore, which has to do with all the pressure that is coming from the outside and the work and the kids and especially the society that is around. But I think this is the worst thing, is really the pressure that comes from society, not from us, not from our partners, not from our family, not from our children, but from society, what is expected from us. And to that, it's also very, very different from culture to culture. I have one very almost stupid example, but I think that says a lot about how different that is and how it changes. When my first child was born, I was told that when they start eating after breastfeeding, they should be eating just vegetables and like all this, I don't know how to call it, like this, but not fruit. That was the story here in Austria, whereas in the UK, they were saying that kids should be starved with apples and sweet things. And my cousin, they had children the same age, same month as mine. And we were just confronted with totally two different theories of what is best for our child and what we should do. And then you see and realize that only you know what is best for your child, what is best for your family, and what is best for you, because you have magic powers and you are a goddess. I wonder your thoughts about how we can support single mothers so they can dream big too. Oh gosh, that's really, really important. Definitely, thanks for this question. This is really important. In general, that is for single moms or moms in a partnership. It is really important to build your network. You need to have people around you and invest some time in having friends and who can support you, because only then will you have time to relax, will you have time to spend and strategically think and all of that. And that is something that we can all do, is to provide support, but it's really about each of us thinking about how to build a network, a support network, a support net that gives you space, time, energy, even money, whatever is needed that for you to support it. Simple thing, if you need a babysitter, and if you have only one babysitter and the babysitter gets sick, then you're lost. You cannot go to a meeting. You cannot do whatever you wanted to, were supposed to do. But if you have a network of friends and neighbors and 5 different babysitters, telephones, then you have a chance to really succeeding in and still managing that crisis situation. And definitely, it is important to dream big, as I said at the very beginning, because the more you dream, or the bigger the dream, the bigger the chances are, even if you just achieve 50% of that, is to succeed in that. And it's the decision you make. It's not easy. I know. I'm fully aware. Sometimes, even if you do have a partner, but the partner is never there, you still feel like a single mother, and that's even in a way. I don't want to compare it at all. It's not the point of comparing, and I hope we will not be comparing each other. But it is about building a network, a support network, and that is the most important investment that you can do for yourself, be it you're single or in a partnership, is to make sure that you have a network of support. People, for example, we don't have family around us here that can support us. My parents they live in another country. So we had to work it out differently. And if you don't have a support network, then you're lost. I hate it. What I hated most were sometimes when I needed somebody to take the kids just 15 minutes. It was not about the full day. That was something I would organize. But sometimes I was just fed up and I just couldn't think of it. And I just was tired and nothing worked anymore. And I needed somebody to take the kids for just 15 minutes, or just for me to take a shower alone without anybody, screaming at the door. And that's something that is very, very difficult if you don't have a network of people around you. And on the other hand, please remember, whatever happens today, it will be over, it will pass. And then another time will come. After every rain, there is sunshine always. And, so be kinder to yourself, especially if you're a single mother. Be kinder to yourself. Think strategically and in a time manner, and try to find joy with other people supporting you. I think that would be something I would like to give to single mothers. I hope that Patricia, I don't know if that gives you some kind of an input or an answer to that. So we have 2 minutes left. And if you have any more comments or questions, I would love to hear that. You can follow me in many different ways. I am, as I said, as an angel investor, I'm part of the associations and business angel networks, the European Business Angel Network. I'm the vice president in terms of the supporting startups, and we have created now an accelerator for female founders working on the Sustainable Development Goals. That's the link below. You can find 1millionstartups.com. And if you would like to go deeper into the conversation we had today, you can join my program, Live Your Dream Life.tv. It's a 14 parts program, and I really recommend it because all the reactions were amazing, and it's really a lot of my knowledge just is in there. And then we work in a group and a network. Thank you, Patricia, for being part of it. I wish we could really be talking to each other. I know it's not that easy to write things down. It would be much better if we could really talk to each other. Feel free to reach out to me. As you can see, there's a LinkedIn link there, and also simply let me know what you do, what your plans are, and what are your big dreams. I wish we could talk about your dreams now. So if you have any dreams or anything you would like to share with me, write directly or right here in the chat. I would love to. Thank you very much, Anna. Yes, let's meet in Vienna this summer. That would be awesome. I would just like to again say what a great podcast you have, and just the idea of learning from. Thank you, Mama, and being grateful to mothers is so important. One of the things I can give you is as I said, my mom is 87 and she's in good health, but I'm now working on creating like a book or writing or something to tell her now how much I appreciate the things she did, and while it's still time, and not to be in a situation where afterwards, when it's too late, to be thinking about that. That's something I've learned. And yes, Anna, I would love to do that. I would love to be at that podcast. And Patricia, please do connect on LinkedIn, or anybody else who's in now. Deborah, thank you very much. I prefer talking with you than this manner, but thank you very much for taking the time to be with me today. But especially thank you for taking the time to work on yourself. I honor you for this. I honor you for having dreams. Please do dream big. I will travel to space, and I will travel the world, and I will make an impact in the lives of 1 billion people. And if it's not 1 billion, if it's only 100 million, I can live with that. So go and dream big. Thank you very much, Veda.